the new Dragon Ball Super Broly trailer aired, and I'm still very excited to see this movie, but a lot of things in the trailer now give me some reservations, to say the least. Some things that, yes, make some sense, but other things that I'm like, I kind of don't like that. I have very mixed feelings on that. The new footage shows a lot of scenes of the final days of Planet Vegeta, and they definitely changed some events around that have been established for years now. Keep in mind, I'm just going by what we've seen in animated form in the US. I understand there's a manga. I understand the manga has done its own thing. I get that, but I like how the animated version has told the events of the origin of the Saiyans, the destruction of Planet Vegeta, their connection to Frieza. I thought that was all fine, even if half of it wasn't even in the manga. I could care less about that. This new Broly movie actually goes back and makes its own version of those events. Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, he liked the story of Broly and took it and made it his own version. And he's also doing the same thing with the History of Bardock movie. He enjoyed that movie, and he's making his own version of that too, and kind of putting it all together. The History of Bardock movie told his story, and it made him a badass warrior that single-handedly went face-to-face with Frieza. And if you want to really go deep into Bardock's story, instead of dying, he was blown back in time, faced one of Frieza's ancestors, and became Super Saiyan, inspiring the original Super Saiyan legend. And if you want to go even deeper than that, in the video games, he even went further, becoming a Super Saiyan 3. That's the version of Bardock I like. Such a badass. By the way, I made a detailed video going over that version of Bardock's entire history, so you can click that right here and check it out. I can already hear the canon detectives descend upon the comments section. Akira Toriyama didn't make that. It's not canon. It was all the animation studio. Yes and no. Toriyama was involved slightly. He's the one that thought of the character designs, and he gave his own ideas into the storylines. So, no, it wasn't just the animation studio that just made a bunch of stuff out of the blue. He even had some input in GT, which is now completely some weird alternate storyline. So, I mean, he's involved. He's aware of what was being done. Now, having said all that, I think it's ridiculous reading all these online comments where people literally get into keyboard shouting matches arguing over what's canon, what's not canon, which fictional event really happened versus which ones didn't really happen. It's not that serious. If the creator of the series himself doesn't take all these pieces fitting together perfectly seriously, why should the viewers? I love a well-told story just as anybody else, but I see Dragon Ball Super as Akira Toriyama being a kid in a huge box surrounded by toys, and he's just playing with all these toys however the hell he wants to. And that's okay. There's different versions of these stories. So comic books do this all the time. That's why in these huge expanded universes, I like to take little bits and pieces of everything, and that's what goes into my head canon. The new Broly movie is basically the original History of Bardock, fused with the original Broly movie, and the Dragon Ball Minus prequel manga, with a little sprinkle of Dragon Ball Super on top, all mixed together in a big Dragon Ball sandwich. So let's check out the trailer real quick and discuss some of these changes. And if you've already seen the trailer and don't want to watch it again, you could skip ahead like a minute and a half.
Hello, monkeys.
The Saiyans will serve my son Frieza and obey his every command. How is Kakarot? Is he still in the nursing capsule?
My boy, you bring honor to our name. The latent battle power within you is astonishing.
You plan to put Broly in a pod and send him to a remote planet? I'll raise him to be a mighty warrior, and one day I will have my revenge! I don't think we can afford to wait. Frieza's up to something, I'm sure of it.
It's a perfect plan to get rid of the Saiyans, planet and all. Wouldn't you agree?
You do what it takes to survive, son.
So let's go ahead and discuss some of the changes they've made to Dragon Ball lore. Right away, we get a glimpse of Planet Vegeta and Frieza landing there, and it's great to see Zarbon, Dodoria, and the Ginyu Force again. These guys are classic DBZ characters right here from the Namek Saga, so already a highlight there for me. And if you notice, Frieza looks a little weird. I guess this is him without his armor on, which I always grew up thinking this was him without his armor on, but I guess this is him even more naked than before. And Toriyama has said that this movie is going to tie into the history of Frieza and the Saiyans, so I think this is possibly the moment when Frieza first meets them and puts them under his rule. It's also nice seeing King Cold again. I always wanted to see more of Frieza's family and backstory. I feel like his entire species in general is such a mystery, because we really don't see anybody else from his race other than Frost, but I mean, he's part of a different universe. So it's definitely a story that hasn't been revealed yet. But you know what? If we're making Broly canon now, can we please make Cooler canon next? The Super Shredder of Dragon Ball. I always liked the idea of Frieza having an older, cooler brother, no pun intended, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But come on, they added him in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Just make him canon and make a really cool storyline with him in it. Another major change we have now, in the original Broly movie, Goku and Broly were born on the same day, and Broly was deemed so freakishly powerful that King Vegeta worried about losing his throne eventually due to this, so he had Broly executed. But Broly survived, and his father Paragus took him off-world, swearing revenge. And in the History of Bardock movie, we see child Vegeta, while Goku's still a baby. So that essentially established that Vegeta was definitely older than Goku, and that Goku was sent to Earth as a baby. And people don't think about this, but I like the idea of Vegeta staying older than Goku, because that makes Goku's level of power even more impressive, seeing that Vegeta had a couple of years on him to get stronger, and somehow Goku stayed ahead of him for years. This movie kind of undoes that idea. In the new events, Broly, Vegeta, and Goku were all born around the same time, so now Goku and Vegeta are the same age. And Broly's story still seems similar, except that Broly's being sent off-world instead of being executed. And the events leading to the destruction of Planet Vegeta seem different too. I liked Bardock getting psychic powers and seeing his end, desperately trying to stop Frieza by himself. Now all the Saiyans are called back to their homeworld, kinda like the Jedi being called back to the Jedi Temple in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, so they could be slaughtered. And Bardock feels like something's wrong, and he sends Goku to Earth before something bad happens. And Goku's actually 3 years old now when this happens, instead of a baby like he originally was. Yes, I know this was made for the TV movie and not in the manga, so canon detectives, there's no need to blow up the comment section telling me this. I know. What I really don't like about this, though, is that it's too Superman-like. I know Goku's always been sort of Japan Superman in a way, and his story has some similarities, but this is a little too similar. Something bad's about to happen, so the loving parents of a young baby send him off-world and see him off. In an emotional moment just before its destruction, it's copy and paste the Superman story, honestly. Two things I do like in this scene, though. We finally get to see Goku's mom in animated form for the first time, and I always thought this was a huge aspect of his character that was missing. We got the full story on his dad, but not one mention of his mother ever. I'm not going to try to say her name either, because no matter how I say it, the pronunciation patrol will come after me, so here. That's her name. Say it however you want, but she's where Goku gets his soft side, and his heart, and his warrior spirit comes from his dad. Also, it's really cool seeing Goku in Little Saiyan battle armor. I wonder where that is now. Speaking of Goku's father, it looks like Bardock still goes around raiding other planets for Frieza, but his crew from the History of Bardock is completely missing. I like them. Especially Tora, his best friend that died in his arms, as he warned Bardock that Frieza was scared of him. All that's gone now. Looks like we also get a glimpse of Child Vegeta, and this gives me some hope that we'll see Child Raditz. And I feel so bad for Raditz. I feel like he's the forgotten character. Nobody ever brings up Raditz in the series. I mean, like, ever. Goku's older brother, that does appear in the manga too, with young Vegeta, so there is some hope that we're going to see him. And that about sums up most of the changes I noticed in the new trailer. Like I said, I have some reservations. I'm sure it's going to be a fun movie to watch, full of action-packed, ridiculous Dragon Ball battles, which is all I really ask for when I see these things. At the end of the day, it's all fictional. Funimation's not going to come and take away my old Blu-rays and tell me I'm not allowed to watch the old versions of these stories anymore. So if I really don't like this version of events, I'll just go back and watch the old ones. I'd love to hear some of your guys' thoughts down below. If you're Dragon Ball fans, do you like some of the changes? Do you hate some of the changes? Are you completely indifferent on it? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys later. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button with all of your strength. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on social media or go into my community tab for updates. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the channel directly on Patreon. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.